of a Vintage Championships?
Yeah, Vintage Championships 2010. I played against Owen Turtenwald, playing the 75 card mirror.
And you lost to yourself, right?
A little bit. I might have taken 5 from Dark Confidant, a couple 2 times too many.
Was it the correct Dark Confidant?
Always.
Okay. Just double checking. So we're waiting for round 2 to get paired and go up right now. But you were here yesterday, and there was a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw, I got a quick rundown on Manaless Dredge, but there was a large 66-person grinder just for buys today.
Yeah, so 2 players from that got 2 buys. They got a VIP package. They got entered into the tournament. So, I mean, it was a pretty nice little tournament. And, there were obviously some other...
There's an uncut sheet of foils. There was... there's some really great prizes.
So, we do have the deck list. So, all 8 deck lists from the top 8 will be on the website, on the coverage at dailymtg.com that Jake Van Lunen is sort of tapping away at his keyboard on. But I've got the list right here, and one of the 2 decks that won was Elves.
Yeah.
So I mean, looking at this deck, I mean, it seems, I guess, pretty straightforward. Quarian Dryad, Sentinel, Symbiote, Birchlore Ranger, Heritage Druid, Visionary, Deathray Shaman, Llanowar Elves, Reclamation Sage being a fairly new card into that pool. Glimpse of Nature to get the engine going. How do you feel like this deck is positioned for this weekend?
I think really well. I think the Delver decks, a lot of them do have a ton of burn, but it's probably not enough to deal with like all of the elf creatures by any means. I mean, Fork Bolt goes a long way,
right?
Which I've seen in a lot of Delver lists, but I watched a couple of his matches yesterday.
Oh yeah,
and he was just able to wait for the right time. Glimpse of Nature, get enough card drawing off of his creatures. Sometimes he'd go off, and sometimes he'd just cycle through his deck and just keep the game moving.
Right. So sometimes you just end up with a handful of cards, and they're like, okay, if you deal with my board, I can just redeploy next turn.
We'll just do this again.
Right. So, and then the other list that made it to the finals was Jaime Cano playing Miracles. And so this is pretty much a stock Legacy list at this point, right? Like, I mean, this is a fixture, an absolute fixture. I mean, Elves is as well, but I mean, this, every time you hear people talking about Legacy in terms of preparing for an event, they're like, what do we have on our board against Miracles? How do we deal with Miracles? How do you deal with Miracles?
Apparently not many people could yesterday, because he's now starting off this tournament 2-0.
Right. We'll try to watch these guys in round 3 feature matches. They're gonna. So when I don't know how many people out there are unfamiliar with tournaments, but when you get a bye, it's a win for the rounds. Usually, it happens later in the rounds when you have the worst record in the tournament. If there's an odd number of players, the player with the worst record will generally get a bye. But at the beginning of tournaments, Grand Prix, big open series, and the Legacy Championships and the Vintage Championships tomorrow, you can get awarded buys or win buys, which means you start out in round 3 with 2 wins. So that's what these guys got for playing in the grinder.
Yeah.
And I know most of you know that, but believe me, there's plenty of people out there who were probably scratching their head as we keep using that word over and over.
No, I found very interesting in his list, they had 2 Pyroblasts in the main deck. Let's just start off with something that can counter Treasure Cruises and Dig Through Times for 1 mana.
Right. And then how did this deck, so 2 Dig Through Time in the Miracles deck.
Yeah.
No room for something like Treasure Cruise, obviously. That's really, like, this is such a polished list. It's really hard to cram cards in.
Well, and I believe he came in from Madrid.
Oh wow.
So yeah, he's not messing around.
This is not. I live in Philly anyway. I'll just drive over and see what happens.
It's only an hour drive, so I took a day off of work. Came down. I'm going to travel across a good chunk of the world,
right,
just to play this list that I think is pretty good. Well, the farther they're traveling, it's usually the more reliability I put into their deck being pretty good. And also, one of his friends that he came with was in the top 4. Lost to the Elves deck in the last round.
So was that
playing?
Was it Ad Nauseam? Sure. So that's he's top 4. That's Rodrigo Tagores. Again, this deck doesn't look like it got anything from the new set. I mean, maybe some, newer, cleaner fetch lands. I don't know. But, I mean, this deck just looks the same. So, Dark Ritual, Cabal Therapy, Lotus Petal, Lion's Eye Diamond, Cabal Therapy, Since what does it say? It says 8. So the list I have here has 8 Cabal therapies. I'm sure that's a typo by the deck entry person. Otherwise, it would explain maybe why he did so. One ad nauseam, 1 tendrils, and that's how you win with this deck.
Cool. For some odd reason, I hadn't realized 1 ad nauseam. I felt like every time I walked by the tables, he was just ritual ad nauseum.
Oh, really? Just like turn 2?
Turn 2, turn 3, things like that.
I mean, he does have Infernal Tutor. I guess that's maybe not quick enough. I don't know. Let's take a look at some of the other decks that were in the top 8, just to go through what the Josh Raiden, quarterfinalist. He was playing Jeskai Delver. So, really just Delver with Stoneforge Mystic and
Delver, Stoneforge Mystic and Treasure Cruise. So, just trying to take advantage of all of it. Like, he wants to Treasure Cruise and he wants to put out a Jitte against other Treasure Cruise decks. It's a fine place to be.
Yeah, he's like, there's been all these cool cards that have been added into Legacy. I'm going to play with this True Name Nemesis, and I'm going to play with this Treasure Cruise.
I mean, his creatures are just 4 Delvers, 4 Stoneforge Mystics, and 2 True Name Nemesis.
Yeah. Just cramming that in there. Let's see. So then also top 8, we had another Elfsdath. Jonathan Morowski, he was top 8. Looks
very similar.
Very similar to
he happens to be playing the 4th Cradle. The other deck only had 3 Cradles, but I mean, now we're really getting into the minutia.
Do you have a preference?
Now that you can ritual off your Cradles, I think it's right to have all 4.
Right.
Whereas, so with the legendary rule
explain
change,
that to people.
Now, if you already have a Cradle in play, tap that you did absurd things with the mana, you can just play a new one and choose to keep the new one with it untapped and do more absurd things with your Cradle. And at that point, I think it's just right to have 4 Cradles. But I'm also saying that not having picked up an Elves deck in an amount of time measured in years.
I mean, to be fair, the 4th Cradle is, there's some obstacles to getting it.
Yeah, and it's probably the most expensive card in the deck. So
yeah, Kevin King, top 8 with Blue-Red Delver. And so that's 4 Delvers, 3 Young Pyromancers, 4 Deathrite Shamans, and 2 True Name Nemesis. So this is not... I'm going by what was handed to me in terms of Deathrite Shaman makes this really Rug Delver.
Well, it depends on which side of it you want to cast, whether it's Rug Delver or Bug Delver. I was just seeing if it doesn't have a Tarmogoyf or Abrupt Decay, so it's really just the Deathrites, so you can call it whichever you want.
Yeah. And interesting, I think what I've seen just from the early Legacy list is a lot of people have been playing Monastery Swiftspear in that spot. And I was kind of surprised, when I saw Blue-Red Delver, I kind of expected to see that card there.
Absolutely. And it's proven to be a very powerful card. My favorite part of this guy's, Kevin's list is 4 Stifle. Just main deck 4 Stifle. I'm not saying it's good.
I want to be the only person having fun here.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying that's what I would want to do. I want to be that guy when they sack their sack land and just stifle it, and just give me the stink eye. Like, thanks for being the fun police.
What's the normal amount of stifles you see in these decks?
0 or 1.
Okay, so what's really sweet about his list is each stifle just gets better. Because he's like, well, he's not going to have another one. He's not going to have 2 stifles. And then by the 4th one, they're just, wow, they're dead.
The 4th one, they're rolling their eyes.
So also top 8, Jake Mondello playing Show and Tell. So, this is...
Dig Through Time
Dig Through Times, yeah. No Treasure Cruises in this deck. So just a Dig Through Time. I mean, that seems to be one of the most interesting parts of Legacy right now is where you fall in the Dig Through Time Treasure Cruise matrix.
Yeah. And actually, in Standard, I think it depends on what your deck is.
Right.
In Vintage, although I would have sworn it was Dig Through Time, I'm really not sure anymore. Like, the difference between 2 blue and 1 blue is huge. It might be Treasure Cruise. But in Legacy, just with the interesting mix of cards, this might be the spot where Dig really starts to shine.
Right.
We're seeing, like, from the top 8 from yesterday, we're seeing a lot of, if it's not Delver, we're seeing Digs far more prevalent. Right. In our first feature match, we saw Dig into Dig during the draw step.
Dig looked terrific there, right? I mean, it just looked terrific. And then, Dig Through Dig is just gross. It
just gets wild. I mean, getting to look at 7 cards, and you can do a lot of damage with 7 cards in Eternal formats.
Right. So that's the big thing with this deck. Let's see, and of course the release the ants in the sideboard. So Alex Delgado was the other top 4 player we already talked about. The ad nauseum deck, and this is Rug Delver. There's your Tarmogoyf. There's your Treasure Cruise.
Well, see, and I could very well be mistaken on these Delver lists. He has 3 Stifles as well. Like I said, I'm not used to seeing it, but I don't count myself as a Legacy expert. I might just be behind, because he has a pair of Fork Bolts also.
Pair of Fork Bolts is sweet.
I mean, it just unflipped Delvers, young Pyromancers, Elves, who knows what.
Young Pyromancers and clean up the leftovers from a young Pyromancer. So, and that's it. So, I mean, that's a fairly good, I think, representative sample of what we're going to see.
Yeah, it's a nice cross-section. But I mean, watching the tournament, I saw people, mixing Miracles with a, Rest in Peace, Helm of Obedience combo. I saw some people just running Game 1 Leyline of the Void. I mean,
I love it.
If that's what you want to do to make sure people can't dig and cruise, well, by fair enough.
Right. I watched reigning world champion Shahar Shenhar, who's playing in the other feature match that was done even before Ari's match was done, so we didn't get a chance to shift them over. And Shahar was playing Death and Taxes, and he just had a vial on too, and he's like, oh, Sarah Avenger. I have 3 Phyrexian Revokers in my hand. I've got a Mother of Runes. And he also had the Stoneforge Mystic, and just made short work of his opponent. Cast a Cataclysm in game 2.
Mother of Runes is serious business in Mission Legacy. I mean, those creatures are so important, and Mother of Runes makes it so difficult to deal with them.
Just to let people know what's going on out on the floor, round 2 has just been paired. So the players right now are just gathering in giant, unwieldy masses to figure out where they're sitting.
Unless you've signed up for the VIP.
Right. Or actually, I think the pairings are being tweeted right now. So you can also be checking the Card Titan Twitter account, which I believe is @card_Titan, and so you can want to see who's in the tournament. You can take a look at that at home and see who's doing well and what's going on. Your up-to-date standings, as it were.
Yeah. I mean, and we had some stories coming out of round 1 flying around about first turn Trinispheres, and it makes us feel like we're talking about vintage.
That's worth telling. I mean, Dave Williams playing a combo deck. Yeah. He's playing a Jeskai Ascendancy combo, and he gets paired first round against the opponent who plays Grim Monolith into Trinisphere on turn 1.
Yeah.
So he's like, how is this real?
Yeah. He's like, in the whole room, I get this pairing.
Reid Duke in the A seat, David Tipton in the B seat.
So it sounds like we're going to see Reid Duke this round.
Hey, he is somebody worth watching. I always tend to learn a thing or two when I'm watching Reid on camera, so this should be nice. I haven't heard yet what Reid is playing today. So
Reid's been playing Magic for a long time, and Reid has always been an aficionado of the game, right? Even before he was on the Pro Tour. And I think that if somehow young Reid Duke could peer into the future and hear Pro Tour Hall of Famer Bob Maher say, I learn a lot from watching Reid Duke, his heart would explode and we would not have him in this world today.
I mean, I love watching the coverage. It's one of the reasons I wanted to come out and try and be part of it. I watch a lot of Magic on Twitch and on replays on YouTube, or participate in the Vintage Super League.
Right. By the way, one of your Vintage Super League mates, as it were, is also in the feature match area. Rich Shea is over on the B table. So is he someone who plays decks that go a long way? We might get to see him a little bit.
No, I think if he is on the secondary table, unless things are going terribly for him, we're not going to get to see him this round.
Okay.
I believe he's just on Delvers and Treasure Cruises and Burnt.
Okay. He's all about taking care of business. He's like, no, we're not going to do anything fancy here.
Well, and as Randy pointed out, he had 4-0'd a daily earlier in the week in Magic Online with just a very aggressive deck. So I think that's what he's sticking with at this point.
Okay. And any sense of what Reid Duke's playing?
Not really. And Reid always surprises me. Like when you look back at the deck he played at World, like Boggles or what? I mean, he just
Legacy Boggles. Let's do it.
I mean, he just pulls things out of nowhere. So it'll be interesting. I mean, it's hard to avoid Treasure Cruise, but our first 4 matches, I mean, it was just Ari with Treasure Cruise. So
right. Well, we did get the
dig
through time. Which was awesome. So I'm very excited about that.
Not as awesome as
Consecrated Sphinx.
I was thinking Notion Thief
on
that brainstorm.
The Notion Thief.
I mean, what a haymaker!
Yeah. And to Ari's credit, he was like, okay, this is awesome. I'm going to lose this match, but I'm going to lose to a Notion Thief hijacking my brainstorm.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I could say I know that feeling. I have had LSV. I think it was my brainstorm activation on Jace, but he has certainly Notion Thiefed a brainstorm on me.
Yeah, that's one of those cards, like, you look at it and you go, oh, wouldn't it be sweet if this happened? You're like, nah, no one will ever fall for it. But it happens. It was great. So many weird cards in that match, too. Like I've been keeping a list, or not even keeping a list, but trying to figure out, like, 13,000 odd cards. I think it's 13,600 plus cards that have been printed in Magic. What's the percentage number that you think are playable in Legacy? I mean, I don't think we moved the percentage points out.
Yeah.
But we certainly added to the card pool a little bit with that match.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean,
5%, 3.5%. What would your guess be?
Playable. I mean, when you start to get into the corner cases, like the obscure sideboard cards, or like we saw with the modern Jeskai Ascendancy list. Like if somebody tries to do it in Legacy, I mean, sometimes cards make it just because they're gold.
So why don't you tell us what Reid Duke is playing here?
All right, so it looks like Reid is playing Miracles. Very similar to the list that we saw from the Grinder.
Okay.
That won the buys. He also has 2 Dig Through Time. He also has 2 main deck Red Elemental Blasts. 4 Divining Tops, 3 Counterbalance. Pretty standard package there.
Okay, well, he's going to be playing against David Tipton. And Dave Tipton is playing Blue-Red Delver, and he is just playing the aggro-iest version, I think. 4 Delver Secrets, 4 Young Pyromancers, 4 Monastery Swiftspear. Anything else here that sort of stands out to you?
No, I mean
it is pretty much straightforward, right?
I think everybody kind of expects to see the daze out of that deck, but it's always entertaining to see how badly you get dazed. Though some of those cards, you can't afford to play around them. You just have to shrug and just say, well, if they have the daze, I guess I can't win.
Right.
A lot of times they have the daze.
for Treasure Cruise. I like the 1 Fire Blast.
Yeah, I love the 1 Fire Blast. And it actually doesn't even need prices. They're all on the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who do you like in the Miracles Delver matchup?
Sight unseen, I'm going to go with Reid, but purely based...
Just the Reid versus any deck matchup?
Well, Reid versus the most expected deck.
Okay.
I can't picture Reid coming in without a favorable matchup against the deck we most expect to see. And even as I look, like he's got the couple Red Elemental Blasts, he has 4 main deck Plows.
And we're underway, off. Yeah. So, looks like Tipton... He's pondering.
He's pondering. And those are no good.
Yeah. No, thank you.
So we'll take a moment to give the people at home some shuffling to review.
And a blind card off the top. So 2 fetch lands get broken by Reid Duke, and I could only assume that this is going to be a counterbalance.
Yeah, I have to assume it's counterbalance for 2 at the same time.
Yep. There you see a pair of Tundras, white bordered for easy searching.
Yeah.
And there it is. Counterbalance.
Yeah, to get that down without a clock on the board is certainly nice. We're still yet to see if it resolves.
Yeah. That may look like it's on the board, but it is on the stack.
It is on the stack. It'll probably be something like Force of Will back days, or Force of Will.
I can't imagine that Reid is playing this without... Oh, there's the date. No, days.
Oh.
Interesting.
I expected a bigger fight.
Yeah. He's like, nah, I'll wasteland you. That's fine. Wasteland you with this counterbalance.
Actually, it also looks like that might be David's only land. So
will be...
might have mattered almost not at all to him.
Yeah.
There might be some black-bordered lands in his hand I can't see, but it's... And Reid just keeps chugging along.
Yeah, Reid plays a Scalding Tarn and chugging. Yeah. Bolt you.
Yeah, I mean, all he wants to do is hit his land drops.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already on turn 3, ending his third turn at 15. 3 lands to 1. And his opponent has no clock on the board. I have to put Reid as a huge favorite here. Like, the Delver player at this point already has to start figuring out what his lines are. Like, am I just turning this completely into the burn plan? Like, where am I headed with this?
Young Pyromancer? Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, at this point, you almost have to assume it's going to get...
Yeah.
Oh, I was assuming it was going to get plowed. Just flat out counter it.
And, yep, and that resolves. Was that Ice Age counterspell?
Indeed. I used to be better at the artists.
Yeah, I was trying to remember the artist's name too.
Bryce Nielsen?
No, it's not.
No. However, that...
I had a chance to buy that art too. And I regret it greatly now.
Don't we all? I was out to dinner with Christopher Rush while we were at this event, and when he told us what he sold the original art for Black Lotus for, it made me cry inside.
All right.
He's doing an art show of early Magic. It was like the first art show they did, and they're all thrilled.
Monastery Swift Spear.
Swift Spear on the board.
From David Tipton. And... I can't... And a Gitaxian Probe.
The different pictures on Gitaxian Probe throw me.
Nothing makes me sadder than promo cards in the feature match area. Yeah, so there you get a look at Terminus, Sword Splashers, Force of Will, and Sensei's Divining Top.
Well, it's kind of clear just to keep going at this point.
You just take it from the Swift Spear. You don't want to plow that.
Well, no, and I doubt he has a plateau in his deck, and he hasn't gotten a red source yet.
Okay.
So you really want to hold on.
Yeah, someone asked the over-under on plateaus in the tournament.
It's not many. Wow.
The line they set was 16.
In the tournament, I'm sure it's more than that, but they might not have been anticipating like 450-something people.
Okay, Sensei's Divining Top gets in. Here we see another Gitaxian Probe. I know this one now.
Ooh, with the blue card.
Oh.
So with the blue card, and he's also got top going. Let's start running into miracles.
So Reid's down to 13. He's going to fall to 11 from this attack. Maybe. He doesn't have to. But you just feel like he's...
I think you just sit on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I mean, you want to top. You want to leave your sack land in play. It's just easier. That's not to say I believe he will end up plowing that creature in this game.
Right.
But I just wouldn't do it yet.
I mean, what is the bigger threat that you would want to plow at this point, right? You know the guy doesn't have... Oh, there it is. Okay.
No, the bigger threat is it's actually more important to develop your board and do what you want to do when you're still up at 17, 15, 13 life.
Right.
I mean, 11
Over 10.
at this point. Yeah. I don't know, even down around 8. You're not banking on... I mean, some people do main deck price of progress, but it's one of those cards that you can't just out and out play around. You just have to say to yourself, if they have it, then fine.
Okay, we have our first Delver of Secrets of the tournament.
Yes, and we'll see how long it takes for this one to flip, because I think it's working in the dark.
Can we get a Delver counter for how many Delvers we see in the feature match area on the day? We are at 1. What do people at home think the final count will be by the time the finals end?
But the thing is, I mean, will it be more Delvers or Treasure Cruises? Because, I mean, almost all the Delver decks have Treasure Cruise, but there's a lot of other decks that have Treasure Cruise as well. Like, Randy asked me what the over-under on Treasure Cruises was in the top 8. It was a tough answer. Said I'd probably put the over-under at 18 or 19.
Okay, so I think I would take the over.
Yeah, Randy said the over, anything short of 20, I think he was taking the over.
Okay. So.
Whereas I don't know if I'd put the over-under on Delvers that high.
So you may wonder why it took Reid so long to find his land there. Not white bordered.
Yep. Well, it's funny, the deck David Williams is playing today, all like the lands are one of the only whiteboarded. I think it's like lands and a couple creatures are the only whiteboarded things in his deck.
Yeah. I am trading away black bordered dual lands this weekend so I can have whiteboarded for my commander deck because it's too frustrating to find them.
That's excellent. The signed Christopher Rush Brainstorm holds a soft spot in my heart, having cast that art of Brainstorm in the Pro Tour Chicago '99 a great many times.
And of course being the Pro Tour that you won.
Yes, my just really getting on the scene. I mean, that was my first top 8, and I won. That was a format that, when you talk about being a specialist, extended, I was a specialist at that point. I mean, I won the PT, and then took the deck to the GP a few weeks later and won that too.
All right, we have a flipped, that's a fork bolt on top, flipping over Insectile Aberration.
Yep, but not drawing it. It's well done.
So scary to me being, even getting down to like 10 against a deck with...
Because any legacy burn deck.
Yeah.
But you just have to be willing to do it.
Yeah.
If at any early point in the game, if you're still developing and they have the reach to bring you down from 10, so be it.
Yeah.
Planning around that's going to cost you more than it helps. Well, I have a feeling that Brainstorm may have put a Terminus on top.
Yes, there you go. Flip the Terminus.
Man, you made me flip that over. Now I have to flip it back. You could have just done it.
Right, lots of flipping that turn. So Reid stays at 10, stays at the halfway mark.
Yeah, and he's still in great shape as long as he can keep a clock off the board.
Oh, and is that our first Treasure Cruise? It is.
That changed. Now you have to be a lot more worried about the reach, about the burn, about the fact you're only at 10 life. Or
Force of Will pitching Jace the Mind Sculptor.
And it's funny, like Treasure Cruise is so powerful. I mean, Force of Will and Jace are both very good cards. That decision is not close.
Yeah. Just in case you were looking for an endorsement of how good Treasure Cruise is.
Yeah, it's oh no, you can absolutely have my Jace and a card for not doing that, please. I'm still waiting to see somebody remanding a Treasure Cruise. That has to be the best feeling. I would want to play Remand in this tournament just to get to do that.
Just one Miser's Remand?
Oh no, I just run 4. Like, that'd be the whole point of playing in this event.
I mean, I guess it was a redundant Jace.
Either way.
Jace the Mind Sculptor from Reid Duke on an empty board.
Jace, and then he had the choice of...
Immediately goes up to 5 on it.
We also had the choice of just playing the top again also. Right. Since he didn't, I don't know how many cards he has in hand.
So Scalding Tarn will prevent any future Fate Seals. Then you just leave the card on top, right?
Yeah.
You just leave a good card on top.
Yeah. Like, No one ever wants to draw the card when you say leave it on top.
Play a top. Play another top.
All right. Well.
What's the point of playing it that way?
Putting both tops into play?
Yeah.
You're just trading them in for cards after you sack the fetch land.
Okay.
Like with Jace and putting things back, you're just storing up draw phases for later. So he's going to get to crack the fetch land, draw a card, brainstorm off Jace, and then if he wants more than 2 of those cards, he just cashes in one of his tops and then tries to find a way to shuffle again.
Shuffle it away, sure.
Yeah. We're just banking draws for later. I mean, they're also wildly important for Miracle, just a Miracle on your opponent's turn. So you can top to Miracle and then not worry if you have to sack that fetch land to cast something else later. You still have a top in play. Okay. That situation doesn't come up very often, but it's certainly something to think about. I mean, I believe Reid is hellbent at this point.
Yeah.
And he's just...
Yeah, that's part of what I was asking. I'm like, you know, in my brain, it's always like hold a card, have something. But at this point in the game, you're just no one's keeping anything back, right? No one's trying to fake anything. You're just like, I just need to kill you.
Nor can he afford to. I mean, 9 is not a lot. The game is going very well for him. I think he's distinctly ahead, but they can change at a moment's notice. And his opponent has enough mana. Well, maybe not this turn, but next turn. I mean, he can just tap 4 mana and use 4 cards to Treasure Cruise. Or now he has extra mana and leave 1 up in Treasure Cruise, assuming he has it. I have not seen one in his hand. No, but 3 cards at any given time will change the face of this game.
Yeah.
Just like if Reid...
Legacy players have wanted Ancestral Recall.
But if Reid hits Dig Through Time, I think it will put this game away quickly.
There's your cruise.
That is too much mana. There we go. That is not enough. There you go.
Wow.
Yep. And now it's
draw 3 cards.
Very
don't put any
worrisome
back.
again. Yeah.
You know, which feels wrong in Legacy, right?
Yeah.
Like the muscle memory is draw 3, put 2 back.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
No, it feels like you're casting Brainstorm, but then doing something wrong afterwards. Something that'll get you a lot of attention from the wrong people.
Reid activates Jace. Draws 3, puts 2 back.
It just keeps going.
Yeah.
Reid does not have long to find something. And it seems strange. Last turn I said I thought Reid was a distinct favorite. Treasure Cruise works that fast. It has gone from good to bad in alarming speed.
Gone from good to bad to Reid reviewing his exile pile so just see if there's anything he needs to know about for game 2.
What can I learn from this game that I've lost?
How many cards can I see before he kills me?
I mean, he did top, though, and he didn't sack the sack land, so I feel he has to have something going on. But he needs a counterbalance to play badly.
So,
oh boy, when Young Pyromancer's okay.
But again, we don't know what the top of the deck holds, so there's a Fork Bolt.
I have to wait. It has to involve some sort of Terminus.
Yeah. Could it be an Entreat the Angels? Would that... I don't even know if he'd have time. I mean, it would be obviously good.
Yeah, it's a fine card. Is that a Charmander?
I am sure the judge will put the appropriate token into play.
Let him spice it up a little bit.
Judges like their food very bland.
So now we're going to see who wins the staring contest.
Brainstorm, show you a terminus. Yep. Just clear away that little army you've tried to muster so cutely.
Yeah. There's a lot of built-up potential in that young Pyromancer there, and it's got to go.
And then I'll top.
Yep, there's one card he doesn't know about yet. You think Reid's going to stand for that? Absolutely not. He wants to be absolutely sure that he should sack that sack land before he puts them back, sacks the sack land, and does it again. Maybe he wants one of them and he can cash in one of his tops.
I love the one Supreme Verdict in this deck too. It's just like, oh, were you going to counter this?
Okay, so those cards better be good. Because he had a bunch of extra mana he did nothing with in a sack land. And if it was only one good card, he could have cashed in one of his 2 tops to get it, still sack the sack land, and then top again.
Bolt you, fire blast you.
Well, he's got to have an answer. I mean, well, I shouldn't say he's got to. I mean, he did nothing with 2 tops, and he knew the top of his deck.
I'm going to go to 3.
I cannot imagine what the top 3 cards are of his deck were.
I'm going to guess a Moises Alou rookie card.
Yeah. I mean, it had nothing to do with dig through time and just... Yeah, I'm not picturing a world last turn where he... And I'm not trying to be critical. Reid is absolutely better at playing this deck than I am.
Yeah.
It was just 2 extra mana, sack land, 2 tops in play. If there's only one good card there, just go get it. And then just sack and keep topping.
So he tops.
I mean, unless he's worried about being the first one to blink and starting the war like in response to a top or in response to him sacking his sack land when he really had nothing to do.
He is going to flip his top here. Is it going to be dig through time?
Yeah. So it begins.
Dig through time. By the way, Reid's at 3 here, not 4, right? Because he took 1 from the fetch land. Found 1 card. Oh, he took 2 already?
Yeah,
okay.
and then if he wants to, he can cast a counterspell and still top before he draws. He still has a lot of options here. Still digging. Whew. Yeah. It's always nice to see 10 cards.
What is going on? This is going to be a Force of Will, I guess?
No, he wanted to get another card deeper. He hasn't hit it yet. And that's it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, David Tipton versus Reid Goliath Duke. 1 game to 0 for Tipton. Wow. That was unbelievable. Really, just like he nibbled to death by ducks there.
Yeah, I mean, Treasure Cruise it just puts so many tools in your hand. I don't even know how to. Well, a lot of people don't know how to deal with it. It's just tough. It really is.
I mean, and it's interesting, right? Because it does change the Delver list from previous, right? Like those decks at one point had what? As many as like 11 or 12 counterspells?
Yeah, you'd have seen it more as like aggro control, like
right.
Or just this mid-rangey counterspells, like just get a threat down and protect it.
Right.
Now it's just it's straight to the face.
Right, but you're
I might daze some things.
Yeah, but you're just like really like losing counterspells and just saying I'm going to put 4 Ancestrals in my deck.
Yeah, I'm going to put an incredible amount of pressure on you in a deck that there's just a lot of cards that go to the graveyard between sack lands and bolts and whatnot. So yeah, I get 4 Ancestrals, Force of Will, and Daze. I'm going to be hyper efficient with my mana, and you have to do the same if you want to keep up with me. Therefore, I'm going to use Force of Will and Daze.
What do you think Reid's going to bring in out of his sideboard here?
Well, the Pyroblast, the Blue Elemental Blast, the 4th Counterbalance, I think is pretty likely because he has to believe his opponent has Pyroblast.
If he had stuck any of those counterbalances.
Well, he only tried 1 that game, I think, right?
No, he tried to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought he tried to. Yeah. Tipton. You know, what do we see here? I mean, he's got Pyroblast.
It's 3 Pyroblast, 3 Price of Progress.
He's also got the Blood Moon, but I guess you don't want both. You don't care. You're gonna go one way or the other. The price is just kind of brutal against them.
It's really brutal. I mean, 2 mana just out of nowhere. It just has a lot of reach.
You see something like Sulfuric Vortex, or is that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Reid's deck is not going to be quick. Although Sulfuric Vortex might look symmetrical, it's not in this matchup. No, I mean, Grim Lavamancer's fine. All these cards, Blood Moon's fine. Just there's only so much you can take out of the deck. I mean, as we were talking about, it's just a very focused kind of Smash Mouth deck at this point, the way it's built. So sure, you got a couple of Fork Bolts you can play with. And even things like Ponder or Brainstorm, like you really don't want to be pulling those out. They do great things to smooth out all of your draws, and they're just extra cards in the graveyard for your treasure cruises. That's just it. He has a bunch of cards in his sideboard that I think would be great. No idea what to take out.
Right? Is it one of those things where you're like, I'll take one of these out, I'll take one of these? Yeah, you know,
it could be.
You end up in like an Adrian Sullivan deckless territory, like lots of 3s, 2s, and 1s.
Yeah, it very easily could end up in that territory, or like Lightning Bolt. I mean, there's no creatures you're bolting. Maybe Price of Progress is just better than Lightning Bolt at this point.
So you just try to upgrade cards based on the matchup.
Yeah, that seems really tough. It's not a conventional way of sideboarding. I'm not looking to just turn my Lightning Bolts into slightly better burn spells. I mean, Lightning Bolt is the measuring stick for burn spells.
Right. So there you see Reid Duke on your right, David Tipton on the left. They're starting Game 2 here at the Legacy Championships. Reid Duke, of course, just runner-up for Player of the Year this year. Runner-up for the World Championship last year. They get a lot of, second-place finishes. But, pretty much on that short list of, the 5 best players in the game right now.
Absolutely. He's just incredible. And
I mean, 2 of the other players on that list
is only helped by the fact that he is such good friends with 2 of the other best players in the world right now.
I feel like Owen has ascended, actually, just to the pinnacle of the game right now.
Owen's incredible. And actually, because I've known Huey for a long time, Huey had gone out to visit Owen in Milwaukee. I live in Madison. We'd driven out, and we were having a conversation. And Huey and I were just talking about how good Owen is, and he has just gotten better.
Yeah.
So
of course, playing with Reid Duke on a regular basis. So you see a Gataxian Probe taking a look at Reid's hand.
And the Grand Prix trial.
So that was a pair of Vendilion clicks in Reid's hand, so I guess that's kind of what came in for him out of the board.
Well, that's a great idea. Just something to interact with the board.
Sign-ups in the side events area.
Now a Ponder from Tipton, so you see how he's able to... what's the earliest this deck can fire off a Treasure Cruise?
Oh, boy. Well, a lot of it depends on the draw. I mean, when you're Force of Willing things, who knows?
Yeah.
It can certainly happen with some sack lands and things like that on turn 3.
Yeah.
I don't think it's likely,
right?
Or even entirely reasonable, but it certainly happens.
Right. But you just see how much velocity there is tearing through the deck, right? You Ponder, you fetch land, you get Taxian Probe, and you just draw another card, and it's
especially the hands when they're land light and they drop a threat and it gets bolted or something. It ends up in the graveyard, and they Ponder and Brainstorm and daze something, and all of a sudden you're there, just by accident.
Okay.
I mean, Reid with 2 sack lands in his graveyard and having a basic in play. I mean, he is cognizant of the fact that that Price of Progress is running around.
Combo on the board. Will it stick? So Force of Will, pitching Treasure Cruise, and Reid's like, I accept this trade.
Yeah.
I accept this 2-for-1.
There's not much you could do about it, but he's going to be removing a card. I guess I'm glad it's Treasure Cruise.
And Delver, our second Delver of the weekend. I'll probably stop counting after this one.
Yep, just a lot of Reid trying to figure out exactly what his line is going to be in this game. And hoping desperately that this resolves. Like, if the first one didn't make it, I don't feel good about this one. I mean, this time he's untapped lands, and yeah, Red Blast is a thing.
Okay. There's a volcanic island. And yep.
Yeah, Pyroblast.
Cyborg Pyroblast. Oh.
Wow, flips.
What did he reveal?
Ponder.
Ponder, yeah.
Delver is one of those cards that you always feel like your opponents always hit and you never do. I think there's some sort of bias to your own memory of Delver at all times.
Yeah, there's your turn 3 Treasure Cruise.
Yeah.
He's like, I would like to restock. Wow.
I mean, just what do you do at this point? 2 of your counterbalances are in the bin.
I might want to take the over now.
Yeah.
Like if this is how matches are going to go.
It is. I mean, this is just not rare. It's just the way this deck plays out.
Right. Right. This list we're looking at, it's a fairly straightforward.
Like if someone was coming to this event,
almost average deck list that you're going to see for a blue-red Delver list.
Yeah, if someone was going to come to this event and decided to, just research a few Magic Online daily events, things like that, this is really what they're going to end up with.
Right. And another Ponder.
Yeah, I mean, Treasure Cruise is just fuel more Treasure Cruises. It doesn't feel like it would work that way, like delving 7 to draw 3, but when you play it out, I mean, once the first one goes off, the wheels just come off. Yeah, and Reid stuck on 2 land.
Yeah.
So, all the dazes in Delver's deck are live. Pyroblasts are exceptionally efficient.
And he has 3 of those that he gets to bring in.
Yeah, this is it's just such a tough spot to be in.
Yeah. I mean, it has not been a good seat for Goliaths thus far.
No, but I mean, Legacy, wildly powerful cards, and favors the people who can specialize. And some of the Goliaths we've featured do not have the luxury of specializing in any format. They have to be a jack of all trades.
Yeah. Right, Arilax just coming off a standard Pro Tour. I mean, obviously Reid Duke also playing at that Pro Tour and going to a standard Grand Prix last weekend probably. And
oh boy, and the Vortex sticks. So another backbreaker.
So yeah, there's the Sulfuric Vortex we were talking about.
They'll dig.
Dig, but I don't even know.
For what? Yeah.
Right. He has to take land and a card. Maybe even 2 lands.
I don't think you can afford to take 2 lands here.
Well, he's got a handful of spells.
But they're not doing the right things.
They're not. One of them is Vendelion. 2 of them are Vendelion Claim. We may have brainstormed those.
Attention Magic players, we're looking for Jaco. Jaco, if you're in the room, please report to the main event stage.
Basic Mountain. Red Elemental Blast. Your Insectile Aberration.
But it's not like he can just get an entreat off the top or anything. He's just operating off so few mana. I mean, that Vortex is just going to eat him alive. And we're looking at the point that he could just pop off another cruise at this point. He's 4 lands and 4 cards in graveyard.
And ponder.
Just the card selection. His hand must just be sculpted at this point.
At some point, you're just like pondering into treasure cruises and treasure cruising.
Yeah.
Into Gitaxian probes.
It's a good place to be. So, I mean, he's trying to figure out exactly what to do on the ponder. But, I mean, it's one of those things like, okay, I've got him by the throat. How do I make sure he doesn't wiggle away?
Right. He's Reid freaking Duke.
Yeah.
I cannot let my boot up off his throat for a second.
It's Reid Duke. I'm on camera. People are going to be able to go back and watch this later.
If I lose this game, my friends will
if I do something,
skewer me.
If I do something terrible here, I'm not going to live it down. Believe me, those thoughts go through your head on camera.
Delver secrets, lightning bolt you.
Yeah, even as you get better, those thoughts don't go away. You just start to care less. Like, oh, well, it's not going to be the worst mistake I've ever made on camera, so, oh well.
You're like, well, instead of, oh no, my friend, you're like, oh great, my friends are going to tease me.
Yeah. Like, for me, it's, once I order attacking John Finkel and tinkering for Crumbling Sanctuary in the wrong order and lose game 1 of the World Championships on camera, after that, I don't really care what mistakes I make on camera.
Reid Duke is at 5.
This could be a Magic the Puzzling, and I would have a hard time figuring out how Reid gets out of this. I mean, he has 3 mana, 4 or 5 cards in hand. He's at 5, and this is the board. Go.
Right. You have a Vortex and a Delver.
Yeah. And whatever line I came up with wouldn't involve any of the cards that are on his deck list.
No, I mean, if it's a Magic the Puzzling, it clearly would involve an Ice Cauldron somehow.
Yeah. Multiple Rites of Flame. That's always a good sign when your opponent just taps the top.
All right, Reid is at 4. What can he get?
I don't know, maybe he just has to cast his Supreme Verdict?
Supreme Verdict and just hope for no more burn spells from the guy who just pondered, cruised, probed.
Yeah, maybe they're all lands. Off of the ponder.
Council's Judgment.
Hey, great. But I mean, his opponent pondered. Like, it's a 3 power Insectile Aberration.
So he actually gets to exile the Sulfuric Vortex.
That must have been an interesting vote. I wonder what his opponent voted for. Oh, look at him go!
Pyroblast. The Delver.
Boo. And I'm not booing because I want one player to win over the other.
Yeah.
But I have a distinct feeling we're going to be watching significantly less Magic.
Yeah, the other match, the Rich Shea match, is almost over. I don't think we'll be. It's done. Yeah, we're not gonna get to go to the back table. We've been sequencing these wrong too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, both of the matches involve adult. Yeah. Oh, quick kick to the face. This is like playing with your food.
Just shows him the first card off the top, Price of Progress. Says, I'm going to be casting this. Let me see what the other 2 cards I'm going to take are. And that's enough for Reid Duke.
Yeah, I'm going to tap out here. I can only deal with so many Ancestrals. And so many might be 1 at the most.
Wow. David Tipton takes down Reid Goliath Duke
Yeah.
2-0 here. Blue-Red Delver versus Blue-White Miracles. And you see them signing the slip. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the booth. Brian David Marshall here with Pro Tour Hall of Famer Bob Maher. Just give you an update on the back table. Do we know the matchup was, it looks like Death and Taxes versus Blue-Red Delver, as you predicted for Rich Shea.
Matt Mercer and Jacob.
Okay, and we're going to find out for you who won on that match.
Mercer and Jacob.
And then see if we can't line up an interview for this round. Yeah, we're gonna get one.
Yeah, even this, like I said, if you're online looking at things, again, a couple fork bolts. This one has a chain lightning and only one pyroblast.
Right.
But
there's the Monastery Swift Spears that we did not see in the trial deck list when we were just reviewing those.
Yeah, we brought them up. Like, oh wow, I thought when we were doing the preview for the day with Randy. Rich won 2-0 with his
Delver deck. So Blue-Red Delvers are living up to the sort of boogeyman.
And I think they will, especially
of the
in the
format.
Swiss. I mean, I think maybe half of the top 8 will be that deck, and I think the person who wins will probably just be someone who can deal with it the most effectively.
All right, welcoming a guest into the booth, David Tipton.
How do you do?
How you doing, Brian?
Well,
Bob?
It's a real pleasure to meet you too.
Nice to meet you. So, how did you feel looking at the pairings, seeing runner-up from the Worlds, runner-up for Player of the Year? You got to face him round 2.
Starstruck. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Reid's. He played well. I don't know. This is my second Legacy tournament.
Second Legacy tournament.
Yeah. Well, rather big one. I've played local ones.
So tell us a little bit about yourself to start. Where are you from?
Well, I'm from Ohio.
Okay.
I'm a junior in college. I got married recently.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Personally, I'm a big fan of seeing the married Magic players.
Yeah.
out there
We root for
winning
the
on
married
camera.
Magic players. Yeah.
My ring is a little bit different than most.
Oh wow.
Got a tattoo. I guess
Sweet.
So
Great.
Very cool.
looking forward to tomorrow.
So you're here. You're actually here for vintage.
Yeah, it's my second Legacy tournament. I have 8 of 9 power. I started off with a cube, and I kind of just worked my way up. When the modern boon came, I just traded away a bunch of stuff and picked up power, and I don't know. I hope I don't come across as a shark, though. I try to trade fairly.
So what do you like about Eternal formats? What makes you want to be here this weekend? What are your goals?
Well, my goal would be to take home some sweet art. The artwork that was done today the 2 events is spectacular.
So Gaia's Cradle is the prize today.
Yeah.
It's a new art Gaia's Cradle. You get the original art framed in this gorgeous frame that looks like a card
laid out
frame.
like a Magic card.
Yeah, laid out like a Magic card. And then what's the prize tomorrow?
Tomorrow's the Pearl.
Yeah, Mox Pearl.
That's what everyone wants. We'll see if that happens. The other 2 questions, let's see here. Goal, completely blanking. Sorry.
That's okay.
So how did you feel Game 1 was going? At what point did you feel like you were ahead or pretty sure you were going to win?
To be honest, I'm having trouble remembering. I know I was having trouble finding threats rather. I think it was Game 2. I had a creature down. I didn't want to overcommit. But Game 1, let me see here.
So Game 1, it got to a point where you went for a treasure cruise.
Yeah.
He force-willed removing his Jace, then took his turn and played another Jace.
Yeah.
I know for me, just spectating, it really seemed like the tide was turning.
Yeah. Well, I think his life total was maybe around 10 or 12.
Yeah.
It was right around 10.
9, 10.
And I had a forked bolt and a lightning bolt and a land that I held on to. I think he fate sealed, left a volcanic island. I played my Scalding Tarn. His next turn he brainstorms, since the Scalding Tarn kind of invalidates
Sure.
the
we had that discussion here. We're like, I think you just fate seal and whatever it is, you leave it on top and make him sack the sack land.
I think that's a psychological thing you're going for. You're just like, yeah, that's fine. It could be anything. But no, he brainstormed, and I'm blanking on what I drew, but I have a feeling it was like a Delver or something.
At some point shortly thereafter, you got off a treasure cruise, and that seemed to be where things.
Yeah, that card's incredible. I can certainly see how it's unfair in the format. Then again, I would go as far as to say Brainstorm's unfair.
Okay.
I don't play very much, so I'm certainly not the voice of reason here, but Brainstorm is restricted in Vintage, and it's just fine in Legacy. I think it's a little unfair.
But to be honest, there's a lot of unfair cards in Legacy.
Yeah, that's true. It's certainly not as regulated as Standard is. But
so what is your normal Magic playing like? You said this is only your second Legacy tournament. What do you normally play?
Well, I do Modern on Fridays for FNM. I don't really do Standard too much. I played a little bit of Standard during the Innistrad block.
So all the Eternal formats, right?
Yeah. And it's more of a card availability thing. I like to trade into the older stuff, so I don't really have the newer stuff. Everyone's just like gobbling it up, and I'm like, yeah, you can have it. So, but so I play Modern once a week. I gobble down the media that comes out. There's awesome tournaments all the time. I watch GP coverage. Part of the reason I don't get out much is because of how far I am from most of the tournaments, and it's kind of hard to justify spending so much on travel. If I managed to get a PTQ under my belt, maybe I'd venture out. But
so let me ask you a question again. Just going back to that idea, you said a little starstruck that you're playing Reid. What do you do to we were speculating, and to your credit, that you looked like a Legacy specialist while you were playing. It seemed pretty crisp. You seemed pretty confident what you're doing. So we assumed you were but even you're not a regular Legacy player, and you're playing Reid, so you have to be like super nervous. You're obviously still a little, kind of pumped up.
Still.
How do you sit down at that table and keep your head on your shoulders? What did you do? What was your process for preparing to play, one of the top 5 players in the game right now?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm going to say it's a credit to Reid. He's a gentleman and a scholar. He was super friendly. He just made me feel like this is where I was supposed to be, and he was looking for a great game, and I hope I gave it to him.
Gave him plenty, that's for sure.
It seemed like he was land flooded in game 2, but afterwards I said, I'm sorry that you got, not land flooded, land screwed.
Yeah,
I messed up. And he said, no, I felt like I got enough lands, and I saw some spells, and I thought it was a good game. And
you just drew 100 more cards than I did.
Yeah, that's certainly.
Cruise here, cruise there. Who's keeping track?
Dig Through Time was really cool at instant speed. He did a lot of really cool effects with it.
Not a lot of it involved winning.
Yeah, he didn't seem to find what he needed. I think he looked at the top 11 cards in game 2 and couldn't find a force or a counter when he still had mana open. So I guess that's too bad for him. But
high fives for you, right?
Yeah. Thank you very much. So I starstruck, but Reid was super nice.
Awesome.
He's a good guy.
So, again, not you're saying, I don't play a lot of Legacy. I need something to do on Saturday until I get to play Vintage.
Yeah.
How do you arrive at your deck? What's the process for you?
Well, unfortunately, I didn't get a lot of play testing in. Most of my friends were busy playing Standard or getting ready for the PTQs in the area, so they were doing a lot of limited testing.
Sure.
So I've been playing Blue-Red Delver for a while. I feel real comfortable with it. I thought about playing Deathrite Shamans, but I just didn't. I don't know. I got in here pretty early in the morning. I got in at like 4 a.m. Well, I got in at 3. I fell asleep by 4 or 5. Got up at 7, and I already had Blue Red Delver built. If I had time to look over the mana base, maybe I would have played Deathrite, but I guess it was a good decision to go with the Blue Red today.
I think you're very well set up for the day, for the field in general. I mean, you're 2-0 now. What did you play against in the first round?
I played against Jund.
Jund is a deck I did not expect to hear much from, with a bunch of treasure cruises flying around.
Yeah, I like Jund a lot with Chains of Mephistopheles, but you have a card availability problem there. A guy that's on the Team Serious Open, who I've met. I went to one vintage proxy tournament. He's running 2 chains in the main, so he's going by 2 chains today. Chains is really good with Treasure Cruise going around. Same with Notion Thief, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We saw Notion Thief round 1.
Yeah, we saw Notion Thief off the top rope in round 1. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, right into a brainstorm. So probably even better than hitting Treasure Cruise.
Notion Thief is like the fixed and readable Chains of Mephistopheles, I think.
Yeah. Chains of Mephistopheles. I remember like, I'm probably going to need to go reread Chains of Mephistopheles.
There's a lot of cards for that set where you look at it like, I've read this, but I'm still not exactly sure what happens. Like Chains, All Hallows Eve, like why does it go like, what?
So we'll let you get out of the floor. It sounds like round